Hey YouTube, it's Nikki with Our Simple Life. Today we've got some pretty cold weather going on outside, especially for here in Mississippi. It's a high of about 21 degrees, low right at about 10 degrees. We are not used to that. So we're stuck inside, and what better things to do while you're spending time inside than to start your seeds. So today I'm going to walk through some options that you can take to start your seeds. So I do want to go over some homemade options, but I'm going to set those to the side and show you just a couple of store-bought items. These are the 72 cell seed starter kits. I got this at the dollar store for $5. These are pretty good to start your seeds in. First of all, it's going to have the black tray in the bottom so that you can bottom water your plants. It's going to have the trays with holes in the bottom. You can see the daylight coming through them. So that is where you're going to put your seed starting mix into your solid black tray so that you can just lift them up and bottom water. And then until your seeds germinate, you want to cover them with the clear top that it includes for a mini greenhouse. This is going to lock in the moisture into your soil so that your seeds can germinate. And then once they have about 50% of them have germinated, go ahead and take the top off so that they can continue developing. So that is one option. And that was the NK Lawn and Garden. Like I said, I just got it from my local Dollar General store. The next one that I got is the Ferry Morris Pro Hex seed starting kit. I don't see how much these were. I think they were around $5, $6. Now it basically has the same setup, the black bottom. Now these seem to be the Ferry Morris and Jiffy, they seem to have a little bit thicker of the bottom tray. And then on their seed starting cells, they've got holes in the bottom to wick the moisture, wick water up, but the shape of them is a little different. They're more angled. They say that it's better for the root development, but that's their take on the Pro Hex Professional Seed Starting Tray. And they give you instructions on the back on what to do, but you can see their angle on how they say the root development is better. And then I got a Jiffy seed starting greenhouse kit. Now this comes with the peat biodegradable trays in it. And these are actually separated, so you can, start different groupings. It's got the clear top dome, and then this actually comes with some markers and plant vitamins for your seedlings. So that's pretty helpful. That I do see a small difference in the Jiffy brand. I also had leftovers from last year. So if you keep these from year to year, they are plastic. So if you take care of them, you can use them more than one time. I don't know where I got the smaller one, but I really like that. But make sure to wash these up before you use them. You don't want to carry bacteria from year to year. And if you're on a budget and you don't have the money to buy the seed starting kits, you can always do it at home. What I did was take a baking sheet that has a little bit of a tray on it, and my mom had given me several Nukes cups that they collected at their office from folks going out to lunch or whatnot. So what I did was I just cut them down and cut some holes in the bottom so that it would be water wicking. I also use some other fast food to-go cups, the plastic, to reuse them. You could also use small, I don't know where that came from. You could also use small water bottles. Just make sure to put holes in the bottom. Or you could use toilet paper holders. And all I did was cut the bottoms and folded it up. And I'll show you now. I'm gonna take just a small toilet paper holder and cut 4 little cuts in it, about an inch or so. And then you just fold them down over on top of one another. I didn't cut them very evenly, but it doesn't matter. And then just push them down. So there you have it. And you could, tear these away after your seedlings have gotten started, and then just bottom watering this as well. So that's just a homemade, reusing, recycling, just the resources that you have around your house. That would also work just as well. You just can't plant as many. However, now with peppers, you don't want to plant them as soon as your last frost date has passed, because the cold can stunt them. With your tomatoes and flowers, some of the things that you'll be starting from seed but planting out can tolerate a little bit of the cool, which is why you plant them 4, 6, 8 weeks before your last frost date. Now, it's rare that we have snow this late in the year, so I'm expecting us to have a late spring. So, in the size of these cells, comparatively, are a lot different. Obviously, this one is going to hold more soil. Now, you can put more seeds in it, or you can expect to have these potted for longer. This seed cell will last for about 4 to 6 weeks. You don't want to go much over that. If you're expecting to have your seedlings indoors for longer than the 4 to 6 weeks, you obviously need a larger container. So this size would probably be good up to about 3 months as far as nutrition wise for your seedlings. So I'm going to start my peppers in the larger ones, since those will be the last things that I put out, because they do take a little bit longer to get going. So what I want to do today is to kind of compare a couple of seed starting mixes. I grabbed this small bag at Dollar Tree, if you'll remember from a seed haul I did a while back. And what I want to do is kind of compare the consistency of this versus, I got a bag of natural and organic seed starting mix from Walmart, and it's the Jiffy brand. So when I'm starting seeds, I want to make sure that there's not large chunks in the seed starting mix. So what I would normally do is just sift it out. So this starting mix has sphagnum peat, horticulture, vermiculite, perlite, and a wetting agent. So what I want to do is take a bowl and take a strainer and kind of sift through the seed mix to make sure that there's no very large pieces in there. And after sifting through, what I want to do is go ahead and get my seed mix wet before I put it into the seed trays. That way I can put a little dipple and my seeds won't get lost when I'm trying to water from overhead. I really like the consistency of this seed starting mix. We'll see. I mean, there are some larger chunks in here, but we'll see how it measures up to the Jiffy mix as well. Now, pound for pound, the Jiffy mix is by far a better deal. because you do get more of it. But if you're just starting a handful of seeds, then there's nothing wrong with getting this seed mixture from Dollar Tree. After sifting through the seed mixture, I'm pretty happy with how thin that is. This is what I got, but this is what was left over. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and throw this into my compost outside. You want something really light. I thought at one time that I would have the best start to my seedlings by using straight compost at one point, and that is not the case. You do want something really light that's going to hold moisture but be well free draining. I started some lettuce in straight compost just to show you guys that it gets really thick and it doesn't develop a good stem system because it does stay moist. So that is not your best avenue to use straight compost. You can still see some of the larger bits and pieces in it. I'm going to go ahead and add some water so that it can be absorbing before I add it to my potting blocks. So here's what we've got. You want it to hold its shape a little, but you don't want it really runny. Add just a tad bit more water. And we'll go ahead and take this Jiffy with the peat, biodegradable peat. Okay, and each one of these little containers has 10 cells. There's 5 containers, so there's a total of 50 cells in this kit. And you also want to be careful not to press down because you want the seeds to be able to, the rooting to develop freely. So what you want to do is just tamp it down so that it can settle. Now you'll see after I added that last bit of water, this is too runny. I'm going to add that to the top just to top off a couple of these and wring it out a little bit. I am going to finish off the rest of that bag, but what I want to do is compare the Jiffy seed starting mix. So I'm just going to set this to the side. And we can open up our Jiffy mix. Now this comes with 12 quarts. That does look a whole lot fluffier, but it doesn't seem to have as much perlite and vermiculite in it. This mix contains 60 to 70% sphagnum peat moss, vermiculite, core pith, and lime for pH adjuster. So this does not have perlite in it, but it does start with the sphagnum peat moss and vermiculite. And it appears to be much lighter. It also gives you the information and says that it will do 20 strips of these sails. So that should go a long way. Okay, so after sifting through the Jiffy seed starting mix, this is what it looks like. And this is what was left. So let's see what the water retention is like. Now this seems to be absorbing the water a whole lot more quickly. And it seems to hold a lot more water. A whole lot more water. Without being runny. Pots back up. I'm going to do one over here. I'm just kind of trying to smooth it across the sails. This is what it looks like. Once I've tapped it down, I'm going to take a Sharpie marker and little marker tabs that Jiffy provided in their little greenhouse thing. These are super cute and work really well. And in this tray, I am going to start some pimento peppers. On one side, I'm going to write the name of what I'm planting, and on the other side, I'm going to put the date that I planted them into this row. And then I'm just going to take the end of my Sharpie and put just a little dimple into the soil so that my seed can nestle into it and get good contact without falling into another crevice along the side. So just to show you what I've done, I've just put a little dimple into each one. And I'll wipe off my Sharpie. Of course I use the end that you don't, it's just plastic. Since I'm planting out 10 of them, I'm just gonna put one in each cell. And even if we get a 70% germination, I'll still have 7 plants. And if we get 100% germination, then we'll have 10 plants. I've dropped one in each little hole, and what I want to do is just go back and barely touch it so that it has good contact with the soil. And I'm just going to sprinkle just a handful of seed starting mix over the top, and then when I'm done, see that large piece, and then when I'm done I will just bottom water because I don't want to dislodge any seeds. And I also don't want to pack it in real thick. So I'm just covering over. Oh, I like those little markers. Those are cute and such a good size. And I will see how they work. The last ones that I got last year from Dollar Tree, I did use a Sharpie on them as well, but I found that when I tried to move them into the garden and use the markers there as well, I found that they wore the lettering off. So I do have a tray of pimento peppers, and I'm just going to continue on and put in the peppers that I want to harvest this year. Some Shishitos, Habanana, some California Wonder. After you get all of your trays set up, you want a nice sunny location, but if you think just a windowsill is going to be enough, that's just not going to work. Your plants are going to wind up being leggy, so they're going to grow taller instead of growing lush leaves out the side, and they're going to reach for the light. So speaking of reaching for the light, I want to talk about some grow lights. So right now I just have a small setup in my dining room area, and so for one tray I have been using this grow light from Fairy Morris. You see it's the length of one grow tray, and I do find that even with these I have to shift it just a couple of inches so that my plants don't reach for the light. And that is this grow light from Fairy Morris. I will stick a link to it in the description box. But it says that this is a T5 high output, and I do like the legs on the side. However, I don't like that it's not really adjustable. Your light really needs to be about 2 to 3 inches away from your plants. So this is great if your seedlings are growing up a bit. However, just starting out, they're going to be really tiny. So I would like to have the light a little closer. Since I'm going to be starting so many trays, I'm going to need more than one grow light. So I did pick up another one, and I'll tell you the pros and cons of it as well. This is a GE grow light for flowers and fruits. It says high output 67 micromoles per second. I don't know how that compares to each other. Now this has 2 sets of bulbs, which I really like. However, it can only be set up with chains. So I would have to build some, put it on a different type of stand. I couldn't just set it on my kitchen table. I actually have to have something that holds it up. So that's the downfall to that. And it is slightly longer than this other, not by much, but again, it does have 2 bulbs. One other thing that you want to use in your growing setup is a heat mat whenever you're germinating your seeds. Now I've got this Fairy Morris heat mat for seedlings as well. You just plug it up and put it under your seeds. Now this one is the size for one one tray, and it's going to sustainably stay 75 degrees. So it's not going to burn any surfaces, but it is going to keep the soil of your plants warm in order to germinate. So if you follow these steps, you should get a great start with your seedlings. I hope that you're starting yours in this cold snap as well. And if you like this video, I ask you to hit the thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you can see what else is growing on in the garden. Thank you, and have a great day.